Alright guys, now we're going to do our virtual lab and software downloads video. If you'll recall, or if you've watched the course intro and syllabus review, you'll recall that you need certain software to take this class. So the first thing I want to go through is what is available in your single sign-on. Okay, you'll go to csulb.okta.com and that will take you to your single sign-on for the university. You input your campus email address. It used to be your student ID. It has since changed for security reasons, and your password. And then you'll see a whole bunch of apps. Okay, mine will look a little bit different. Instead of a faculty center, you guys have a student center. Okay, if you work on campus, you might have employee center. You can also access Beachboard through here. You can set up parking permits, which probably isn't relevant to hardly anyone here. Your Office 365 portal is in your single sign-on. So if you click on this, it should open all of your Microsoft apps that the university provides to you for free. It's like the best word for college students. Okay, but in your Microsoft apps, you have access to Word, you have access to Excel. The one thing I was saying, and I'm not sure if, like I said, I'm not sure if they have updated this since everyone's more remote, but I do know you guys are going to be working with Excel a lot. Oh, clearly it hates me. That's fine. But I don't know if some of the limitations that students have had in the past are if you guys are going to run into the same issues. But primarily Excel and Word are all you would need to use in here for this class. Microsoft has a lot of other really great apps. So like I use OneNote to organize all of my notes for my classes. I also use Planner. So it keeps my life organized. Planner is a great way to work with groups. You all subscribe to a planner and you can delegate certain duties to people, see if they've started those duties and when they've completed them. So I encourage you to kind of explore what the Microsoft apps that are available to you, especially because they're free, so take advantage of them. Okay, we don't need to look at my mail. Any IT or tech help or assistance that you need, you have access to that. You also have a OneDrive, which is similar to Google Drive. So if you're doing any shared files with people, you can use this kind of like Google Drive, Dropbox, etc. Okay. Student Virtual Lab. This is one of the highlights I wanted to point out on your single sign-on. So if you click on the Virtual Lab, it should open an external window. And all of you should have access to the software you need for this class since you're signed up for it. But you're just going to pick the basic setup. So you just click Open, and that'll open another window. That'll basically mimic what a school desktop would look like. So it usually takes a few minutes to load. Okay, but it is a Windows operating system, so that's like a really funky thing between Mac and, like, I'm on a MacBook, but now I have access to a Windows desktop on my computer. Okay. This is the other shortcut if you want to have Microsoft programs without purchasing them. You can work through your virtual lab. So if I wanted Word, I could type in Word in the search bar and it brings up Microsoft Word. Right? And then you can do all of your documents. So if you don't have access to Excel or the Excel version that's available through the Office 365, if there are limitations, always feel free to use the virtual lab to, use Excel to finish some of your assignments. Whenever you're working on here, I would suggest saving stuff to the desktop, and then from there you can just upload or download stuff onto your computer, email it to yourself, whatever. Okay, but that's how you'll get it out of the virtual lab space. It is important to note that once you exit the virtual lab space, the stuff that you have saved in your virtual lab space will no longer be there. Okay, at least I know that's what other students have reported. I don't think there's a way to permanently save anything specifically on the virtual desktop. Okay, you'll notice that SPSS has been uploaded to this desktop. This has version 27 automatically on it, and that is not the version that I will be working off of, so I'm not 100% sure of what the differences are. Okay, version 25 works the best with my computer, so I mean, if you're able to use version 25, I would try downloading it. If you want to try one of the newer versions, that's totally fine. Just know that some of the procedures might look a little bit different on screen. If you end up using the virtual lab and you're doing an activity and you have no idea how to figure something out, always feel free to come into office hours, and then you can share your screen while you're in the virtual lab, and I can try to help you figure out what to do. Okay, but this is the virtual lab space, super helpful since you don't have access to campus computers anymore. The other thing I wanted to show you guys in here is the software depot. Software depot, right here. Okay. You also can access the library, Zoom, any specific forms if you're withdrawing or whatnot if you have to come on campus. I don't know if you guys have the pre-screen for the COVID stuff. If you want to make a survey and distribute that through Qualtrics, that's what I used, for your guys' pre-semester survey. But two main things: virtual lab, software depot. Okay, in the software depot, if you wanted to purchase Microsoft programs, you totally have the right to do that. I'm not 100% sure how much they cost through here. The last time I checked, it was like $15 for a student office package. But I mean, like, you have free resources, you have a virtual lab. If you know you're going to be using Office for a long time or you're planning on going to graduate school, I would recommend just having the programs on your computer. Sometimes, though, your graduate programs will give you that stuff for free. So, like, I got Office 365 programs for free from UMass, and they're fully fledged downloadable programs. So, you never know. But when you're going to upload, you're mainly using this for SPSS uploads. So you can type in SPSS, okay, and it should bring up all the different packages. Now, I hate this because it's like super confusing. You don't need to know or need to even mess with any of these ones up here. You just want SPSS statistics, okay? Like I said, I have version 25, but if you want to download 26 or 27, totally fine. I do know people with MacBooks, version 24 is super, super, super sensitive to MacBooks, and it doesn't download well. I've had students who have spent hours trying to get the software on their computer, and they wait forever, and then they find out, like, oh, the software did not download, it couldn't finish its work, and then they try again, and it's just a complete waste of time. So if you want version 24, you can totally try version 24, but it's completely up to you what version you download. I'm going to do it as if I was downloading version 25, okay? If you have a Windows operating system, make sure this says Windows. If you have a Mac operating system, make sure it says Mac, okay? You add the package that you want to your cart, view full cart, you're placing the order for yourself, and then you go to checkout. Okay, I've already updated my software, so I'm not going to completely go through the download process. Okay, but please note, this is for the 2020-2021 academic year, so SPSS is good for you to use for free through July 31st of 2021. Keep this screen open. Okay, so it'll give you download instructions, an installer will be put on your computer. You have to go through a bunch of agreements and next, install, finish type instructions, but it shouldn't take too long. I think mine took maybe 10 minutes to download when I had to re-download the program after mine expired in July. So it shouldn't take a whole bunch of time. But I would make sure you keep this screen open, because when you try to open the app for the first time, it'll ask you for an authorization code. This should also be sent to you in an email. That's why I got a ding on my email just now during the video. But you insert that authorization code and it'll automatically install the license on your computer and give you access to use the application. Okay. Please know SPSS can be very, very finicky. So, the way that you access it is you can either go to Applications, or if you have a MacBook, you press F4. It should have like 6 squares in a row, and that will show you all of the applications that are on your computer. From there, you should click on the SPSS area, and the one that says SPSS Statistics is what you're actually interested in opening. It does take some time to pop up, usually, well, at least for me it does. But it'll give you the option to open any existing SPSS files that you currently have on your computer. It'll also give you the option to open any new files, and usually that opening message I completely ignore. Okay, and I'll show you that when it pops up. But I think this is a fairly decent program. It definitely suits the needs for, what we're doing in this class. So this is the welcome message I was talking about. It'll show any recent files that you've done. Usually I close it. You can say, don't show this dialog in the future, right? So you can get tutorials, etc. So feel free to use whatever you want or explore this window. I usually just close it out. Okay. What you have in SPSS, you'll usually be working with 2 different windows, and we'll go over this more in depth when it's applicable to the activity where this will pop up. But you'll have a data set, which is very similar to an Excel spreadsheet. Okay. And then whenever you're working with your data, you're also going to have outputs, which will look like this. Okay. Very similarly to any other word processing, you can save these files. Okay. Outputs are saved in an SPV format, and data sets are saved in an SAV format. So please know, and I'll go over this when we get to the activity that includes SPSS, you cannot upload either of those formats to Dropbox. Okay, it'll take any other uploads that you have, but it will not take those file formats. So whenever I ask you guys to share your outputs with me, make sure you export them to either a Word document or an Excel spreadsheet or a PDF. I personally prefer Excel spreadsheets because I think they're a little bit easier to read, and I'll show you why when we get to that part of the semester. But just a friendly reminder. Okay, similar to how I looked up SPSS on the virtual desktop, if you're using that, that's how you would find the application there. So hopefully this helped you guys a little bit in exploring your single sign-on page if you haven't really gone in there. Okay, I do know on the student view you guys also have an area where you can set up appointments with enrollment services or financial aid or counseling, advising, etc. Okay, so it's a wealth of information on one page, so I would recommend kind of exploring it before the semester starts or throughout the semester if you have the time.